Vanuatu is a group of 82 islands situated in the Western Pacific and is steeped in the rich diversity of Melanesian culture. Contact with the outside world began in the 17th century with waves of explorers, sailors, traders, and then in the mid-19th century, English missionaries and French merchants. This would lead to the signing of the Anglo-French Condominium, which lasted from 1906 to 1980.
But prior to independence, we were administered by France and England under condominium, the joint administration of France and England. In those days, the roles of women were basically on welfare, looking after the people, caring, planting, production, basically for home consumption, caring for the elderly, doing home craft, home care.
Vanuatu was also a target of 19th century blackbirding. From the 1860s to 1904, European slavers swept through the country, coercing or kidnapping boatloads of Ni Vanuatu men and taking them to work in sugarcane plantations in Australia and Fiji.
The key thing in terms of the role of women and men was that when the men had been taken away, the women now took over the roles that were traditionally the men's roles, the cutting of the wood, the part of the gardening that was the men's roles, for instance, the digging of the hole and the planting of the yam. Often the men that came back had no place in the society and in community, and in that point of history, a crisis of masculinity where that role that was there for them was no longer there. A lot of the historical documents show that a lot of the aggression and violence really escalated at that point in the history of Vanuatu.
In 1980, when the country gained independence, the islands were renamed by combining two words from a local dialect, Vanua, which means land, and Tu, which means stand, forever memorializing a nation reborn in its independence.
Our first Prime Minister who took independence, like a father of independence, and that is Walter Hadilingi. Our independence in Vanuatu is very powerful because everybody contributes in thinking, working for it, men and women and kids. Because we really mean to be having independence in a sense that we would like to have back our own land. So that we must always have our own government of Vanuatu, and that is why we took independence since 1980.
While modern politics in Vanuatu is reflective of long-standing colonial influence, the pervasive big man system still exists today. Despite the name, women have always played an important role in the big man system.
We had a system, the big man system, whereby only men were seen in leadership position because the chiefs were responsible for the administration of the communities and the people. The main role was basically for maintenance of peace and order.
And nowadays, when you talk to some of the chiefs, they always go back to the role of women as the weavers, and they really were the keepers of custom because they were the ones that told the stories, but they were also the ones that wove and they made the mats and they fed the pigs and got them ready for the traditional ceremonies, while the men stood at the front and were the orators and the speakers, but the women had to be in the background to do the work that made these men the big men.
Politically, Vanuatu is organized into 6 provinces, which then make up the 3 municipalities that constitute local level government. The national government is made up of a 52-member parliament, headed by a 13-member cabinet and prime minister. Since independence, only 5 Ni Vanuatu women have earned seats in parliament. Hilda Lini and Maria Krobi were both elected in 1987. In 2002, Isabel Donald was elected, followed by Lena Valtasso in 2004, and most recently, Etta Rory in 2008. No women have been elected since. Vanuatu government, NGOs, and civil society groups continue to work together to achieve gender equality in their country.
There was a program by the Vanuatu National Council of Women that specifically looked into supporting and also raising awareness on the importance of women's leadership and especially women's role in parliament. There was also a series of programs funded by OSAID that the Department of Women's Affairs was in partnership with the Electoral Office on voter education. Also the Bridge program funded by UN Women that took place for years since 2008 and recently came to an end in 2011. Our development here is part of regional and also international efforts in addressing women's rights and issues that affect women not only locally but regionally as well as globally.
A major milestone for women was achieved on May 29, 2013. The Vanuatu Council of Ministers unanimously agreed to the drafting of a bill that would reserve 30 to 34% of seats for women at the municipal level for the next 4 terms. This temporary special measure, or TSM, is the first step in guaranteeing that Ni Vanuatu women will have a voice in local politics.
Everyone has come now to accept that TSM was a way forward and an opportunity by women to see what a political leadership would mean for them. One of the reasons why we have targeted municipality was that the structures that I mentioned earlier on, where women are more close to those structures that governs them, provincial government and also the municipality. It was to understand and know the games of politics and how we could better prepare women for the higher level of decision-making bodies such as Parliament.